All right, man. Moving right along. We're coming to the end of this thing. Good fights from here on out. Jimmy the Brute Crute, 11-1, taking on Modestas Bukauskas. And this fight's got me scratching my head. This is another one. Y'all know I love my dogs. I feel like this line is just a little bit too wide. Jimmy Crute is phenomenal on the ground. This dude is a mauling grappler, a submission artist. He's got vicious ground and pound, nasty top game. But he's only been out of the first round once, and that was in the UFC. He's only been out of the first round once, and that was with Paul Craig, a guy that engaged him in that grappling match, which, man, grapplers can grapple all day, strikers can strike all day. I wonder if he can strike all day. You know what I mean? We've seen him on the floor. We've seen him. He can get to round three, no problem grappling. But if a guy like Modestas is able to make him stand, how long will his gas tank last? I also feel like the Alvey stoppage, that was a little questionable. I mean, I know Alvey wasn't doing much to protect himself, but he was obviously still there and around. He hadn't been completely shut off yet or anything like that. So a couple questions still, in my opinion, on Jimmy Crute. Modestas on the flip side of this things, the big question is he really UFC caliber? He's only got one win so far in the UFC. He was the former Cage Warriors champion, which that speaks a little bit, at least towards, his level and whether or not he's ready. Dude is really light on his feet. I mean, this guy does not move like most 205ers do. Circles extremely well, fast hands. He works behind the double jab, something that I think is intelligent and like to see in my fighters. He's got really heavy leg kicks. He does give up his takedowns. That's the concern, is that he gives up his takedowns. But this is the kind of guy that wears out the dude doing the wrestling. The guy taking you down is supposed to make you tired. He gets back up and you're like, shit, man, I got to take him down again. Like, he finds a way to the cage. He walks himself to the cage. He uses his underhooks well. He gets back up to his feet. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight. Man, I feel like this might be the barking dog of the card for me as far as these big, giant favorites go. How do you feel about this one?
I do agree that the line is wide. First and foremost, I do agree the line is a little bit too wide. My thing with Modestas Bukauskas that I kind of picked up on watching his last couple fights, it's like he's losing until he's not. You know what I mean? And like when guys are
Anthony
like taking
Smith
him
syndrome.
down. Pretty much. He's losing until he's not. You know what I mean? With Nielsen, he was fighting a guy that was 5-0 coming into that fight and was successful with the takedowns, but wasn't able really to get too much going from that top position. And then when he was on the feet, we know Bukowski's his game. He's a really good striker, heavy kicks. The guy's big. Like, he looks like a big 205er. I believe he's 6'3", with a 78-inch reach. Yeah, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. And yet, like, his opponents make no bones about it in terms of wanting to take him down right off the bat. Even his last Ricardo Nasiglia did the same thing, tried to take him down, and then Andreas Michailidis tried to do the same thing before he got Travis Brown styled elbowed. Same thing happened in the Nielsen fight. That's kind of like his move. He's just waiting for guys to go for the takedown, and then he's just raining down elbows, trying to knock him out that way. And he has some power, and he's able to generate power from there to actually knock these guys out. Jimmy Crute, on the other hand, I agree with you. There's not enough data within the UFC itself to really feel like if Jimmy Crute can come through as a minus 350 favorite. I mean, I do think that Crute is probably the best jiu-jitsu guy that Bukauskas has fought. So if this fight does hit the ground,
by far,
if this fight does hit the ground, that's where I think that we'll see Crute's jiu-jitsu come to fruition compared to the guys that fought him in the past, right? So that's the one thing that I really have to worry about here. I wanted to go into this betting Bukauskas. I wanted to find a reasoning to bet Bukauskas. But to me, he never does anything super special on the feet that makes me believe he's a head and toe above his competition in terms of the striking realm. Jimmy Crute is efficient enough on the feet, efficient enough to be able to stick around there. Like in the Mikhail Oleksiejczuk fight, he took him down time and time and time again, and then Oleksiejczuk kept getting back to his feet. But once he got back to his feet, he was comfortable to strike with him for a little bit and then wait for Mikhail to overcommit on a strike and then go for the takedown again. He's smart. I like that type of mentality in a fighter. Don't just spam the takedowns. If you're not able to get it, settle into the striking a little bit. Let the opponent think that they're going to be like, okay, let's screw the takedowns. We're going to make this a striking fight. Once they have that level of confidence, they go down and they take him down. And then we saw him get, I believe it was a Kimura victory that he got over Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. So just there's not enough for me to really take the plunge on Bukauskas. I can see how you might like that spot. It's a good spot, again, with the lack of evidence that we really have on Crute. But I'm not willing to take the plunge on a guy who's fighting somebody like Jimmy Crute, who has solid jiu-jitsu. If he gets his fight to the ground, the fight could be done. I mean, I think Bukauskas has a little bit of a sketchy record leading up to the UFC. Again, he's losing until he's not.
I feel
So
you.
that's the thing.
I feel you, man. I got you. You know, one of these things that for me is kind of a key here though is he uses Travis Brown elbows very well.
Very,
And when
very
you've
well.
got a guy like Jimmy and he finds his way to the cage, you know what I mean? So he's not necessarily going to be this guy that gives up that takedown right smack in the center of the cage. He'll use the fence. And then when Jimmy Crute is going for those deep takedowns, he goes to work with those hammers, those elbows. I think there's several paths to victory here, and I'm seeing nothing but love for Jimmy Crute. So for right now, I'm going to sit tight. I'm going to see how wide this line gets. This might be a big shot here for me on this card because I like Jimmy Crute, man. I like him a lot. In fact, I bet him quite a bit myself. I'm looking forward to his future. I think he's got a lot of high points, but he's also still very green. He's still very young and is another one of these fighters like last week on the card last week. He just is not deserving of this line, in my opinion. It's one where maybe Jimmy wins, but he shouldn't be minus 400. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. This line is a little bit too wide. Even possibly for a parlay piece, I think it's a little bit too wide. But yeah, this might be a stay away fight. I need to see a little bit more of Bukauskas off of his back against a legitimate jiu-jitsu guy, and this is going to be his first time against a legitimate jiu-jitsu guy at the top stage. So this is a sit back fight. Let's see how these guys perform, and maybe fade or play them next time around.
Yeah. And you know what? One more point on that. You mentioned the legitimate jiu-jitsu guy thing. The people that I've been watching him fight against haven't really even had an opportunity to implement their jiu-jitsu because you can't hold him down. Like he never settles in. Jimmy might dive on something. And this is the kind of kid that I think will be able to use that to scramble out as opposed to, you know, oh, hey, here's my arm. Oh, shit, it snapped. Like, I don't know that Jimmy is going to be able to just dive on an arm or a neck and wrap the show quite that quickly. He's going to need to really hold that top position, go position over submission. And I don't know if you can with this Modestas kid. So
He's so
we'll
strong.
see.
He looks very strong and
He's
big.
big.
So yeah.
And that's where, you know what? Oleksiejczuk, maybe my most disappointing light heavyweight of all time. I loved that kid, and I bet him so hard against OSP. One of the biggest bets of my life against OSP. And he just got shit on in that fight. And then in the fight against Jimmy Crute, I actually had to pass on that fight because I still had my bias of Lord Oleksiejczuk that I went, I think he bounces back, but I don't want to step in front of Crute. And just the evidence of how small he is, Crute handled him. This kid is not that small. This is a big dude, a big, strong, physically powerful guy. I think he belongs here. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This is a lot of fanfare for me to say maybe I'll bet it later.
No, I'm with you totally. I'm with you totally.
All right. All right, we are getting there. I just want to remind everybody, first and foremost, without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this show. So thank you all so much for spending your Monday evenings with us. We've got just shy of 400 live viewers. We peaked at about 412 there for a little bit. We're at 390, so thank you all for being with us. My name is Clint. This is my boy, man, Crute, MMA lock of the night, hanging out with us this evening. And you're right here on odds.com. Make sure you hit that like button for us.